We are back building in our aquatic plaza and double habitat area. And today in this Planet Zoo video, we're going to be building a beautiful aquatic habitat for the grey seal. Hello everybody, my name is Adamup and welcome to this new Planet Zoo video where we're going to be creating the second part of the installment of the aquatic plaza and double habitat. So if you've not already watched the first part, which we created a habitat for the African penguin with an underwater viewing area, then I suggest you will go and do so. I will link it at the end of this video and I will also link it in the description down below. But on to the habitats for the great seal. Now you can see me just very precisely digging out an area where I wanted the actual water to be. And we're going to start to speed up the video a little bit now. Get that water in, recolor it to the tropical kind of like blue lush color which we've got throughout of the other habitat and the pond in the plaza area, and start lining the pool. And this gives it a really modern look because it is a modern build. I actually really enjoyed building this as well. I mentioned in my last video, in the African penguin video, that I'm really happy that I'm building in a modern way again, and even with this habitat, I really enjoy doing it. It's where I kind of like excel when it comes to my creativity. So yeah, just getting the archer in now to show. If you don't know what that archer does, it basically shows the exact size of a guest in your zoo. So you can scale everything at 2 size, as I am doing with this barrier. And we're going to go with the plaster pieces, of course, because they just look modern. Recolor them to white so they look fresh and ultra modern. And then we're going to start creating the habitat barrier and the guest viewing area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a variant of this on the Steam Workshop page. So if you do want like a modern style viewing area, I will put it on the Steam Workshop page. I can't put any of the habitats in though, because when you use the terrain tool like this and you manipulate null barriers and you have big builds like this, it just gets so difficult to actually upload as a blueprint. And when you come to download it and put it in your own zoos, it's even more difficult, and people always struggle to do with it. So what I will do is separately include this viewing area, and you can see me just mapping that out now. And I started off with the glass and the plaster pieces, and we've lined them with the conservation pieces. And what I always do is I recolor them to black to make them look like metal, and it really works when doing trims of windows and glass as well. And just trying to figure stuff out now. I played around with quite a lot of ideas when it came to just this viewing area, and what I did came out with was quite successful, and I am really happy with it. But I did play around with quite a lot of ideas, and that's what I suggest you doing as well. And I always say in Planet Zoo, if something's not right, change it. If you're not happy with something, don't be happy with it, just change it. In the middle, I knew I wanted some kind of like education point. We need an education screen, and we need a speaker, don't we? And we need maybe a little bit of information about the grey seals in there as well, because that's what you would find in a zoo. And it separates the barrier nicely as well, having something in the center of the barrier. It just breaks it up a little bit, and that's what I like to do with my guest barriers when I'm using no barriers anyway, and with viewing areas like you can see me building. I'm going to wrap it around now, and I'm just going to get the basic plaster pieces in place before I start styling it up a little bit, and just get everything nice and neat and symmetrical. I really enjoy building these symmetrical builds. I don't know what it is, it's just very satisfactory to me. Right, finishing it off with the plaster pieces on the side. We're going to go different height variants, because that's what I do with all my builds, and we're even going to go different height variants when we create our hard shelter. The premise of this habitat is to have the main viewing area as the body of water at the front. That's why the guest viewing area is there and all the glasswork. And at the back, we're going to have a hard shelter and a backstage area where our animals, our grey seals, can go and relax and get a little bit of privacy, and also where our habitat gate will be, and where our staff can come in and feed and tend to our animals as they please. I went with these kind of like slanted look, and again you can see me playing around with different ideas with the plaster pieces here, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty decent, but it just doesn't look as good as I want it to look. So I started adjusting stuff and lining everything up, getting everything nice and neat before I make any big changes and zooming out. If you do see me zooming out like I'm doing now, I'm seeing if everything fits basically. Does everything fit in? Does everything look good? Is everything blended the way I want it to blend? And I got stuck with the viewing area, and I thought, do you know what, build something else and come back to it. And I knew that I needed an entrance to the actual habitat from the inside, the hard shelter bit, to the outside. So this is going to be the entrance, and it's just going to be kind of like a little jetty area where the seals can come from the inside to the outside, jump into the water, and they'll be able to traverse back as well because it's lower enough in the water. That's why I'm lowering it down now. And there we have got our entrance, and we can start just building around that, lining it up again, lining the pool up with the plaster pieces to make everything look neat, and then filling in the floor area. And I had this gap, and this gap is going to be between the water and the hard shelter. For the moment of time, I just laid it with plaster pieces because I thought in my head I really don't know what to do with it. Squared that little bit off and created that gap, and then I thought, oh, maybe I'll stick a planter in there, but we'll come back to that. You know me, I love a bit of foliage and I love a bit of mulch. I always use mulch and planters in all my builds. So I start squaring off that area to create that planter look like I have done in the Plaza area and on the left and the right hand side of the African penguin habitat. Just getting those trees in now just to see how it would look if I did have planters in there, and I thought, yeah, it looks brilliant, but I don't think it's the right trees. It just doesn't look right to me. I need something a little bit more tropical and a little bit more bright. So I took the foliage out and I added a little water fountain coming from the mulch. It'll blend in when I've got the trees in. Trust me, it will work. It's just a crazy idea I had. And then I started changing the barrier. I went back to the barrier then and thought, what can I actually change here? And I added this trim. Again, these are the plaster pieces, and you can see how I've done it at the front there, and it just gives it this like kind of like a 3D look, doesn't it? And it just kind of looks really sleek and modern, and I'm really happy with it. Instead of having everything square on, because the centerpiece where the education point is going to be slanted, I thought, let's make some of the barrier slanted and then carry off with the straight edges. Don't know, it just kind of worked, and I'm really happy how it came out looking. I just got to line everything up on one side, and then I can easily duplicate it to the other side. But while I do that, let's have a little chat. Are you excited for Planet Coaster 2? If you're still watching the video at this point, I will be creating content for Planet Coaster 2. I have to, even though I didn't create content for Planet Coaster 1. So I started my YouTube journey and started creating content for Planet Zoo when Planet Zoo was released, and it was not even at the start of Planet Zoo as well. I remember watching videos from Paulsley, and that really got me into Planet Zoo. And then I started like posting pictures on stuff on social media and Reddit of some of my builds, what I was building in Planet Zoo, and people was like, how did you do this? How did you do that? So I thought, let me just make a video to show people how I did it, because I was getting asked quite a lot of questions, quite a lot. So I thought, if I make a video, that'll explain. And then I thought, I might as well make a YouTube channel if I'm making a video, and then I can just link people to it. And then there we go, 15, nearly 16,000 subscribers later, here we are. I'm planning on making content for Planet Coaster 2. It just blows my mind. It still blows my mind that this is still a hobby for me. I enjoy doing it, and that's the main thing, and I will continue doing it. And if you are watching the video now and you do watch my videos for the majority of them, I just want to say a big thank you. The support, honestly, I can't. For any content creator, the support what they get, they will tell you, is the main thing. Once they get positive feedbacks, whether it be likes on video, by the way, hit that like button, or new subscribers, or nice comments in the comment section below, knowing that you've helped somebody and getting that positive feedback, that's what drives most content creators. It drives me anyway. Being able to teach people stuff or inspire people to build different stuff is why I make content. But enough of that anyway, and back to the build. I just kind of wanted to show my appreciation though, is what I'm basically saying, and basically a long-winded version of saying thank you. Back to the planters, you can see I've replaced the planters with the dark coloured plants into a more tropical vibe, again giving that height variance though, so it looks a little bit more realistic. And we've got that lovely water fountain coming from the inside of the plant area, coming down into the water as well. And now I always say make sure you create the inside of a hard shelter or the inside of a backstage area before putting the roof in. But then I never actually do that. I always put the roof in. But I'm going to show you a way how to put the roof in and still be able to actually see, because you're going to have some light into the inside area. You just kind of got to like separate it. I'll show you in a second. But as you can see, I've started on the roof and I'm using the same old trick I always use. 2 plaster pieces to give it that thicker look, and around the edge is a conservation piece recoloured to black to make it look like metal. You probably heard me say that a lot as well, but this is how I do roofs basically. Gives it a unique look, but it's still easily done because we're still working with on the grid pieces. We're going to build some glass into it to carry on that modern look as well, and to kind of create some light, kind of like a skylight into the hard shelter area as well. When you see stuff modern, you will see a lot of glass and a lot of like concrete and plaster, so that is what I wanted to go with, and I wanted some lights being projected into the inside area so it won't completely black. And then I thought the front of it just stuck out a little bit too much, so I just took it back a little bit. I then kind of liked how these rails went in, and then I didn't like how they went in, so I kind of played around with the idea of having one in, one out, and then it just didn't work, so I just ended up with them all in. And then I started playing around with different variants of that and thought, oh, that looks good, that, and then I thought, no, just keep, Adam, don't get carried away with yourself, just keep it as it is, but a shortened version. Back to the roof now. You see, I will do that a lot as well. I will see things and I'll think that doesn't look right, and I'll go off and create a different section. Even though I was creating a roof, I went back to the actual viewing area there, and I do that a lot in my builds. I don't know if you do that. Leave a comment. Do you do that a lot? Do you go off to a different section, then come back to another section, or do you stick to one section and until it's done? But yeah, it's just the way I work. It's just my brain. I just get carried away and I get distracted a lot, I suppose. I've got ADHD, so maybe that's it. Right, creating the separate roof now, and I'm going to do it exact same way. Again, working with those height variants, and we've narrowed down the grid to 1 meter so we can get that overhang of the roof. I have got a roofing tutorial if you are interested. Just type in Adamup roofing tutorial, it should come up. You should be able to find it on my channel. But yeah, creating that extra roof now on the top, filling in all the gaps as such. Make sure we've got no gaps, and I'm about to show you how I go about doing a separate roof like this and how to get inside and be able to see to create the inside area of a hard shelter. So once your on the grid pieces are done, just delete all of the on the grid pieces. That's what you basically got to do, but make sure you get it right stuff. You can see me just deleting pieces. I'm just trying to get this right and get this in before I start deleting all the plaster pieces. And then just go around and right click. If you don't know, you just hover over, when you're in a group, just hover over an item, right click, and it will delete it. It's a very quicker way to delete stuff. And then what you're left with is a roof what is totally off the grid. But don't do what I've just done here. Now, I'm always an advocate of showing mistakes in instead of editing mistakes out, leave them in, is what I'm basically trying to say, because people learn from them. And I'm not perfect. I'm not some absolute master builder. I'm a pretty good builder just because I've been doing it a while. Leave my mistakes in, and then you can learn from them as well. And what I did here is I forgot to separate the second roof from the first group, from the first on the grid group. And when you do this, when you go to move the second roof, you can't, because you end up moving both roofs. I hope this makes sense. So I've left one plaster piece, as you can see, and now I can start recreating the roof, but on a different building group. It's on the same, this is really hard to describe if you don't know what I'm doing. It's on the same grid system, but in a different group. I think that explains it well. So then when I go to move this second group, I can do without moving the other group. Yeah, that does make sense. I think it does. It does to me anyway. So once again, I'm going around and right clicking and deleting all the on the grid pieces. I really wanted to leave that mistake in there just in case you ever make that mistake and you know how to salvage it. And then I can lower it or heighten it however I wish then to create this roof. And then I just need to separate all the trim because I forgot to do that. Again, I'm leaving my mistakes in, and I'm going to reattach it to the new roof on top, the second roof. Just go around, select them, separate them from the group, move them down and attach them to the second roof like you've just seen me do. Now we've got 2 roofs on 2 separate groups. There we go. All we have to do now is when we want to build the inside is just heighten that up. Just grab the second roof and move it up, and you will see me do that when we move on to the inside area. Just filling in all the gaps now with the plaster pieces and creating and finishing the hard shelter off. Right, I've moved the roof up so I can see inside, and this is what it looks like. See, very easily done when it's separate. Now all the light is shining on the inside, and I can easily work on it now without worrying about misplacing stuff because I've got no light. If that roof was on, honestly, it's very difficult to build in the inside of buildings. With the inside, we're going to keep it quite simple but effective, and the first thing we're going to do is block and line this area off with the off-the-grid plaster pieces, because this is going to be a separate part. So where I've put the floor down, the plaster pieces and the sand area is going to be the traversable area for our grey seals, and where they can get their privacy. We're going to put the habitat gate in here, and the wooden areas where the wooden path is, that is where our our staff are going to be able to go, and we're going to include 2 facility buildings, maybe even 3 facility buildings in this build as well, so our zookeepers can easily get to this habitat and you've got everything included. If I can upload this habitat to the Steam Workshop page, if people really want it, leave a like, leave a comment. I will try my best to upload it, but it will be difficult to place when you do come to download it. Just a disclaimer there. To separate this area more, we use the plaster pieces, what we've been using throughout the whole game. You probably the whole video. You're probably fed up of me saying plaster pieces. By the way, I created this little gate. I've created loads of these little gates in my videos. I just used the mesh. Mesh is king, as well as foliage. And to create this gate, I did some little bit of detailing, and we've got what looks like a functional gate. It's not, but it looks like it, adds to the realism. Right, added the facilities in now, and we went with a keeper's hut and a veterinarian centre. Is that what it's actually called? By the way, I created kind of like, you see these like wooden planters, really nice. I just thought I needed a little bit more foliage on the outside of the habitat like I did with the penguin habitat, so I created them. Again, if you want them, let me know in the comment section below. I will put them on the Steam Workshop page if you want them in your own zoos. Quite handy to have, actually. Just kind of like spices up open areas a little bit and kind of adds to kind of like a little bit of a vibe, a little bit of a theme. Right, I'm going to add a glass, and this is going to stop our not our zookeepers, sorry, this is going to stop our seals getting out. Again, it's going to look modern because we're using glass, and it's going to give an amazing viewing point for our zookeepers as well to check on our seals without actually entering the habitat itself. All what was left to do now is to add all the detailing that you would find in a backstage area of a habitat. So all the cladding on the wall and the doors and the door frames. We've got some venting system, conservation pack coming in clutch here with the items, making it look like a realistic backstage area. And here we are, the habitat is complete. I've made some minor adjustments which I will show you now. What I didn't properly get to show you is these kind of like planters. I think they're absolutely brilliant. You can put them wherever they want them, and they just spice up your zoo a little bit. I will be putting on the Steam Workshop page after I've decided, since finishing this habitat, that they will go on there, I think. I also included them on this area here with some benches and some shading for the guests. And at the front of the actual habitat, you will see the education point is in and all working. We've got a screen and we've got a little bit of basic information. It's not basic information, it's lines, isn't it? That's basically what it is. But it looks like an education point anyway. You just got to imagine stuff and get creative sometimes. Over the top, we've got a shaded area that comes out of the water. I don't know why I've done it like this. I just kind of like the way it looks. We've currently got the grey seals entering the water body and having a little cool down and a swim. We've got one of the jetties and enrichment items there as well for them, so they can swim up to that and dive in and out of the centre. I don't know what it is, but when they stand up in the water like this, it just really makes me laugh. You can see the water feature in full form now and on, and it does look good. I'm so happy I put that in. I was in two minds to do it, but I am happy I put that in. We've got a little planted planter area here, again going with the same theme. I'll just zoom out and you will see we've got planters in the actual pond, which you would have seen from the first part of this two-part video, and we've got a planter in the African penguin habitat as well. At the back I went with like a modern sliding door. This is only accessible to the staff, this area, by the way. You can do that quite easily by just putting the staff paths in and not the guest paths. Where the zookeeper's door is to actually enter the habitat, you will see a screen and a control point. And the last clip of the video, I did show me adding all the extra bits you would find in a backstage area in a real zoo. So I just wanted to give you a look of that with everything complete, and the trim around the glass and a little plant pot and just all the little detailing that you would expect. And now I've showed you that, it actually concludes this build. And how good would it be to enter a zoo and enter a plaza area looking like this? Like I've said throughout the first part and the second part being this video, what inspired me was the release of Planet Coaster 2, which I'm really excited for and I will be creating content for. I really enjoy creating water-based aquatic habitats as well in Planet Zoo, so I really wanted to test not my knowledge but my ability with this double habitat plaza area. What I will do is release this as a zoo file, so if you want to carry on this as a zoo and have this as the plaza area of your zoo, you can do. But if you do that, please send me a picture of what else you have built. My social media links are down in the description below. I also have a Discord you can join and you can share pictures of stuff you built and we can have a chat there. But that is the end of this build and the end of this two-part video series. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.